Whew. Because at Reset Race, we are all about facts and data over your fucking feelings. And even my feelings, because I have to re-record this whole section. So, because we like to make sure people have the full data before we get out here and talk about anything. So, let's go ahead and get our screen share on. Okay, bam, I'm gonna go through this quick. This is from the Center for American Progress. Simulating how progressive proposals affect the racial wealth gap. It was written by Christian E. Weller, Connor Maxwell, and Danielle Solomon, August 7th, 2019. Y'all Fred Hampton leftists did this fucking video on July 4th, 2021. Y'all had 2 years to read this goddamn thing. So here we go. Author's note. CAP uses Black and African American interchangeably throughout many of our products. We choose to capitalize Black in order to reflect that we are discussing a group of people and to be consistent with the capitalization of African American. Wealth, a household's assets minus its debts, is the key measure of financial well-being. Unfortunately, the United States is home to a stark and persistent racial disparities in household wealth. While various proposals exist in the aim to shrinking the racial wealth gap, estimates of their long-term effects are limited. So estimates of the long-term effects are limited. A new simulation developed by the Center of American Progress demonstrates how separate proposals implemented today, these fucking proposals that you fucking white liberal racists and you Fred Hampton leftists are pushing, in combination or in isolation, would reduce the racial disparity in average wealth, total wealth divided by the number of households in the United States by 2060. The simulation specifically tracks white and Black couples who are currently beginning their careers and starting to accumulate wealth and compares their total projected household wealth as their retirement. So, Jimmy, you keep talking about how class is going to fix race. It's not, bruh. I need you to fucking get a Black economist who knows what the fuck they're talking about. Instead of having these Fred Hampton leftists that you like because they're saying the shit that you like, but they're not doing anything for Black people. And the shit that you're proposing isn't going to fix poor white people either. So I need you to step y'all pussy up. So back to what I was saying. Interactive. Tackling the racial wealth gap. This is a fully interactive menu. Y'all got to check this out. So wealth, a household's assets minus its debts, is a key measure of financial well-being. Unfortunately, the United States is home to stark and persistent racial disparities in household wealth. For centuries, American public policy systemically excluded Black households from opportunities to build wealth. Black, not people of color, Black. Black, y'all, I'm Black, y'all, I'm blackity black, a black, y'all, Black. Not people of color. Don't make me pull this fucking chart back up. No, I'll make sure I do so you can see before the 1965 fucking Immigration Act, there was not a bunch of y'all people of color here. There was a handful of Chinese people, a handful of Mexicans, and fucking Kamala Harris's parents from fucking Jamaica and India. That's who the fuck was here. Yes, I'm over exaggerating about this shit, but y'all was a speckle. Y'all were not a majority. Quit trying to play like people of color. Quit trying to play like Mexicans and Indians were in the fucking slave fields and cotton fields with us picking cotton. That's not what the fuck happened. The racial wealth gap was created and will only be eliminated by systemic and intentional public policy choices. So let's look at the baseline. Baseline, $1.87 million for white people, $317,000 for Black people. White wealth in 2060, 5.9 times more than Blacks. Racial wealth gap in 2060, 1.56 million. So this is the bullshit that y'all like to first start with. Free college. Free college gives white people more money. The baseline was 1.87 million. So white wealth goes up. Yes, Black wealth goes up, but Black wealth goes up by 130,000, a little under 130,000, more like 127. White wealth goes up quite a bit more. Or maybe it all goes about the same percent, but the wealth gap persists. This shit isn't closing the wealth gap. So what you're talking about right now, Fred Hampton leftists, y'all on some bullshit and you don't know enough. So either you're a fucking enemy like Breonna Greyjoy who tries to skew the shit on purpose, or you don't know enough, you need to go back to the lab. If you need to go back to the lab, you need to fucking sit down and have a conversation with Sandy Darity. You need to sit down and have a conversation with a Black economist. You need to sit down and have conversations with people who are actually doing work in this reparations movement. Because right now, y'all just poisoned the well and you're a fucking problem. Debt-free college and student debt. For centuries, Black people have largely denied access to full, even race-neutral programs such as the GI Bill systemically excluded African Americans and left them with few opportunities. Today, Black people remain less likely to attend and graduate from college.
Less than 19% of native-born Blacks have college degrees.
It's native-born Blacks. That includes your first-generation Ghanaians, Nigerians, all that shit. They're all lumped in. So we don't even know what the numbers are for what it is for actual ADOS, American Descendants of Chattel Slavery. When they attend, they are more likely to take on more student debt, which makes it more difficult to buy a home. So Fred Hampton, let's just talk about how we have more medical debt and how we have more student debt. That's because we're fucking poor. So you talk about you want to be a Black capitalist. You're not a Black capitalist because we're fucking poor. Y'all need to do more research. Okay, so here we are. So we did debt-free college. We saw that was some bullshit. That ain't gonna do nothing to close the racial wealth gap. Right? But I wish we had all the other bullshit that the Fred Hampton leftists was talking about, because they talk about fucking fixing the climate and medical debt. They don't have all this other shit. But let's say fair housing, right? Because I like fair housing. So fair housing. Fair housing, the baseline was 1.87 million. White people will still have 1.87 million, and Black people get a little under 80K. Wealth disparity still 4.7 million. Racial wealth gap will be at 1.48 million. So that's free, that's housing, right? For more than 50 years after prohibition of redlining, blockbusting, and other discriminatory housing practices, Black Americans remain 9 times more likely than whites to experience discrimination when trying to buy or rent a home. With additional resources and expanded authority, agencies charged with addressing racial bias in housing can help or boost home ownership and increase access to affordable rental housing, both of which are key vehicles. You saw that shit was less than 80,000. So quit dicking me over. Consumer protections, y'all can look up on your own. Let's do retirement savings, because Black people save more than their white counterparts who make the same amount of money. So the baseline was 1.87 million. So white people go up to 2 million and we go up a little under 200,000. Again, the racial wealth gap persists, and this is giving us retirement savings. White versus Black wealth gap goes down to four times. Racial wealth gap will still be at 1.52 million. So again, all of your favorites that are suggesting, oh, let's just do some free college and let's just do some housing, and no, this doesn't fix the racial wealth gap. Fred Hampton leftists, again, I don't know if you're on some Bree shit, that Brianna Joy Gray shit, where she's just an enemy, or if you guys are just not well versed enough to know that you are working against our interests. So I'm gonna give y'all the benefit of the doubt, but if you fucked up, y'all need to fix it. If not, I'm gonna look at y'all like a fucking enemy, and I'm coming for you like I come for Brianna Joy Gray, or whatever the fuck her name is, like I come for bitch ass Kyle, like I come for Crystal and Sagar with their anti-Blackness. Like, we hold no punches around this bitch. Let's talk about baby bonds, which is Derek Hamilton, Sam Day Darity's one of the things they've worked on. So again, not a bad plan, but it doesn't close the racial wealth gap. White wealth, 2.17 million, which goes up from the baseline of 1.87. The Black wealth will go up over 400,000, but there'll still be a racial wealth gap, and y'all still owe us 1.3.7 million. So let's just go to all of the things that they have listed. The racial wealth gap will still persist if you do consumer protection, fair housing, debt-free college, retirement savings, and baby bonds. Wealth gap will still be 1.9 times higher for white people than Black. The racial wealth gap will still be $1.7 million. Y'all have to pay us reparations. Fred Hampton leftists, you talking about an empty bucket. The bucket with the holes is because we're fucking poor, you dumb motherfuckers. What you're proposing doesn't fix us. This, on top of the great wealth transfer, you're basically saying that people should remain a permanent underclass. What you are asking for is not what Fred Hampton wanted. He was black. Again, you are trying to make us a permanent underclass.
I don't have time for Mrs. Elliott's problem.
Well, you better make time.
We are being crucified by a process that is turning blacks into a permanent underclass here, Frank. A permanent underclass. No, see, nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody.
I'm so mad the first one I recorded this guy didn't fucking take, because it was like 30 minutes. I was laying into y'all asses. Everybody go back and read this shit. It's fucking basic. There was something else I wanted to read. The racial wealth gap. Wealth eases the transition between jobs and neighborhoods and provides a cushion in a response to emergencies and during retirement. Wealth is also transferable and allows households to finance their descendants' futures. Wealth also is transferable and allows households to finance their descendants' futures by helping cover the cost of education, a health emergency. That's that fucking bullshit ass healthcare debt that you're talking about, that we have more healthcare debt than anybody else. We have a bunch of student loan debt too. You know why? Because we're fucking poor. If you give us reparations, we won't have this shit. Or even a down payment on a home. A lot of white people's parents and people of color's parents give them fucking down payments on their homes because they have the extra money in their wealth. We talked about this in the wealth transfer. However, in 2016, the median white household held $171,000 in wealth, almost 10 times more than the median black household, wealth of $17,600. The median racial wealth gap is more than $150,000. May understate the extent of the disparity between black and white households. The average of a black household was just $139,000, showing a much larger difference of $780,000. Regardless of the method of measure of wealth, the evidence is clear: a considerable wealth disparity exists between black and white households. Racial disparities in wealth are not results of individuals, families' choices, or rather the result of structural racism in American policy. Many government programs that design access to home ownership, higher education, fair wages, and union protection have largely benefited white households, allowing them to build a transfer of wealth across generations. While Black households were systemically excluded as a result of the racial wealth gap persists even after controlling for educational attainment, marital status, age, and income level. In fact, college-educated households have 30% less wealth than non-college educated white households. And we know they have less wealth than white high school dropouts. Without an intervention, these disparities are expected to persist for another 200 years. The Black-white gap was created and will only be eliminated by systemic and intentional policies. Y'all got to read the rest because I'm losing my voice, but y'all already saw where there's about to be this great wealth transfer. So the Fred Hampton leftists are basically saying that there's a big wealth distribution problem in this country, but at the same time, white people are about to get their money and they're saying Black people shouldn't get theirs. And the wealth is going to be exacerbated. And I'm also going to take a moment to show you what Black and white wealth looks like in real numbers.
Listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. What? Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to U.S. Southern plantations. Lineage, Jim Crow and mass incarceration. Redlining lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one, cousin mother intellectual. Samantha bringing fire, anti-black, we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country to win. You need our energy. You gon' see. Listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.
Until you do right by me, everything you think about is gonna crumble.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.